Going live right now.
All right.
Hey, I think we're live. So
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome.
So you just got
Let
back from
me.
Florida, huh? How was it?
It's been a while. It was amazing as always. Anytime I can go out and play pickleball. Well, I watched the weather report in Chicagoland, and it's 20 degrees or it's snowing. Always a good time.
Yeah, well, I was living vicariously through you as you were down in the palm trees and showing off the sun and you were staying at were you staying at Airbnb? Is that what you were staying at?
Yeah, we did. Mhm.
Okay. And it had a pool too, right? So most of the places down there have pools and that are screened in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, a majority of uh, people have of pools. Yeah, they are screened in. I didn't experience a whole lot of mosquitoes when we were there. So, but I think it's probably as the weather warms up, probably there's a lot more mosquitoes, and that's a big reason why they screen in their pool.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I always wondered. I didn't know if I always the first thing as a Midwesterner that doesn't get down to Florida too much. I've been down there a handful of times, but not much. I always wonder if that's for alligators or if it's for the bugs.
Could be for alligators as well.
I don't know how a screened-in porch is going to stop an alligator, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Hey, quick intros again. It's Keller Williams Properties. Bill Pendley with us with Caliber Home Loans, and I see we have two viewers on Facebook. It's too much for me to pay attention to their comments on Facebook. I will try not to see. There's another screen in here that I can see their comments in here. Anyway, my name is Bobby Taruc with Keller Williams for your properties with us is Bill Bentley with Caliber Home Loans, and I'm top producer for how many ever years now at Caliber Home Loans. Been with Caliber, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 years, I believe.
Correct. This is my 3-year anniversary. Just came up the other day. I saw it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll walk through uh, the. I think I can see comments in here on Facebook on StreamYard. Anyway, we'll walk through this really unique experience about purchasing a secondary home, whatever your goals are, be it an investment property or even to just snowbird or partially snowbird and do STRs, i.e., short term rentals. Though I'm not sure if I told you, I think I told you one of the main topics of the ARIA organization, which I hope to be active in, was short term rentals and the viability of it nationwide. So we'll talk about that later a little bit. Bill, anything else to add as a way of intro? Please do chime in.
No, I think we're seeing some interesting times right now, to say the least, with regards to the market. The demand is like just crazy, and obviously you know that you beat out an offer the other day, beat out a few different offers, and not to mention when you purchase down in Florida, you beat out offers. So it's just one of those things where it's very competitive. And I actually was listening to a podcast recently that it's a great time to buy. It's bullish. I mean, believe it or not, it's still a bullish market even when you see rates move up a little bit like they have been. So I've been doing this for about 25 years. It's funny. Yesterday, I was actually we're redoing our basement, and my wife was actually pulling out pictures, and she found a first picture of me being my first year in the industry. I looked like my 2-year-old. So I've been through the good, the bad, the ugly. And so if there's any questions that anybody does have with regards to the market or where we stand, I'm here. We're licensed in 9 states now. I just picked up Iowa and I picked up North Carolina. So we're ready. We're here to help in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it was. We'll talk about it a little bit more about the experience about the purchase of this condo. But point being is that one quick example when we were looking at single detached home properties, there was a specific property we wanted to just drive by. It was after 5 p.m. we thought it was on a busy road. So those were one of the downsides we felt about the property, but we just wanted to park in the driveway. There were three agents that were about to show, or one had shown it. Two other agents were showing the property closer to 6 p.m. on a busy road. So that was a good indication of what the market is in Charlotte County. So
Oh gosh, yeah.
it's crazy. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Sure.
So I wanted to, Bill, like I mentioned, there's a PowerPoint presentation as well that I did for investing in Florida. So we're going to fly through this a little bit fast because we've talked about it. Again, this is your team right here, Bill Pendley. Work with them a whole lot. In fact, they're the team that is underwriting our loan for the purchase of our property. We're out of the Glen Allen office, Premier Properties, and then law firm. Aaron is not licensed in Illinois, but for the Illinois transactions, he is our go-to person. So for us, Bill, I think you saw this deck, but I want to iterate a big factor for us, as I shared this with an investor earlier that I met in Starbucks at Donata here in Wheaton. I was talking to him. A big portion or consideration for us was that easy access, and there's a typo in there, the airport card for O'Hare's, ORD, or easy access from O'Hare or Midway. So that's a big deal for us. We want to be able to, as we snowbird, and also as, of course, we still have a business here in Illinois, we want to be able to commute easily between Southwest Florida and where we're at. We're grateful that we have two very efficient airports, O'Hare and Midway. So that was a big deal for us. So for us, Allegiant flies to Punta Gorda directly. Seasonally, I don't know what their schedule is going to be in the spring, but Tampa International, of course, is an option. RSW, you can Uber there for $45, and of course, tip the Uber person or driver. And then Sarasota, Bradenton. I haven't really checked their tickets yet in Sarasota, Bradenton Airport. So that's something to consider. Again, the ability to be able to commute to the area was a big deal for us.
Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, I have another client down in a past client, and I think he's looking to possibly do another purchase in Florida. But he actually commutes, believe it or not, he commutes from Florida to Illinois every week. So he's works in cement and bricklaying up here, but he literally owns a company. So he wants to live down there. So he lives down there over the weekends, and then he commutes every week. And he said that more people he's seeing are living in Florida and actually commuting. So these commutes are actually getting further. We're used to, in Chicago, we're used to the Metra that people use. And now it's getting to the point where people are using the airplanes to commute. So it's pretty interesting to see what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I think to that point as well, Bill, I think technology, like I mentioned, has been an enabler for myself as well, being in the tech practice as well. We are able to work remotely. So all we need is great internet connection. We can Zoom, we can WebEx with our clients and our customers. And I use a whole lot with Zoom as well, even being here in Illinois. We hop on a Zoom session during a buyer consult. So technology has been a huge enabler for us to be able to be productive wherever we are.
That's a great point.
Bill, one of the things also that, again, this is my personal perspective, okay? What I've learned is that we were going through some historical sites in Fort Myers. I've learned that the East Coast of Florida developed first. So it stands to reason it's a lot more expensive, i.e., Vero Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all of those suburbs within the Miami-Dade County, they really developed first, and obviously they're a lot more expensive. Southwest Florida developed during Henry Ford went out there, Thomas Edison went out there. They have this winter retreat in Fort Myers, and then there's that Atlantic Coast Railroad developed, opening up Fort Myers, opening up Southwest Florida. So the point being is that Southwest Florida developed much later as a winter retreat. So this is precisely the reason why. For me, I feel they're very still affordable. Lee, Sarasota, and Charlotte counties i.e. Northport, Sarasota, Punta Gorda, Arcadia, metropolitan area. They're still pretty affordable, but as time progresses, as homes become more appreciated in time, those pricing in Naples, they're trickling down already to Bonita Springs, and I would imagine that's going to trickle down again to Charlotte County, and then pricing will probably approximate Sarasota at that point, and then everything is going through the roof. But the point being is that even now, Vero Beach is benchmarking themselves to Naples, and if you know anything about Vero Beach, there's stratospheric pricing. A million, 2 million, 3 million, just personal homes. It's nuts what's going down in Florida.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking. It's funny. You listen in this market, and I'm not as familiar with some of the areas, but I keep hearing people bring up Sarasota. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, there's people that are looking at that, and that's the beauty with you and myself being on the front lines here with regards to the housing, is that we hear it from Main Street level. Like, we hear the clients talking about these certain areas. So we're learning before the news is actually hearing it, which I think is really great. The funny thing is, you brought up Henry Ford. We just closed a deal on one of his estates down in Savannah, Georgia. So one of our clients bought one of his old places. It was really unique, but yeah, you're exactly right though. You're hitting it spot on.
Well, yeah, there's a ton of history, and it's just amazing. Anyway, I would encourage everyone, if you ever get a chance to go to Fort Myers, go to that winter retreat with Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. It's amazing how these two inventors and really forward-thinking industrialists really change our lives for the better. Invention of electricity, invention of the automobile, opening up the suburbs is just elevated our level of our living conditions, for that matter. So anyway, back to the slide, Bill. I feel that Southwest Florida still is, if you want to watch, as an example, if you want to watch an NBA game, you can go to Miami, less than 3 hours. Tom Brady is coming back from retirement, going back to Tampa Bay.
So if he wants to go back to Tampa, why wouldn't we?
Yep, absolutely. So 1.5 hours, less than an hour and a half to Tampa. And then, of course, you've got St. Pete out there. And anyway, I feel that Southwest Florida is really central to everything. And then if you look at the population density, everything's so spread out. You want all the space that you want, have at it. Close to 1 million people within this metropolitan area. Venice, Palmetto, Bradenton, 542 people per square mile. So it's not, population is large, but everything's spread out. So buy a hybrid if you're going to have, or an EV for that matter, if you're going to live in Southwest Florida, because it's a little bit spread out. The closest Chipotle we could find from our Airbnb was 20 minutes. That's way too far for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you love Chipotle, I love Chipotle.
I love Chipotle.
Personal income tax. You know this, 5% flat Illinois state income tax.
Yep.
Imagine saving the 5% taxes that you pay to. I'm not advocating leave Illinois, but the reality is, think about saving your 5% of your net or gross pay. You put in IRA, of course, or Roth. Imagine saving 5% of your income. Instead of paying state income taxes, you can put that in your savings account, or 529 for JoJo. So think about your savings right there. 6 months on one day, live in Florida. Really, you can consider yourself as a Florida resident and tell Illinois Department of Revenue, I'm not a full-time resident of Illinois. Anyway, check your accountant. I'm not saying anyone to buy or circumvent your taxes due to the state of Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Bill.
Everybody's getting a raise when they move down there, aren't they?
Well, the way property taxes are collected, you'll see that's almost double of how much they collect in property taxes versus assessed value. Think about your savings, more money in your pocket, in your checkbook, as you think about your property taxes, you write those checks for property taxes. Again, nothing against Illinois, but this are just, I'm giving the facts here and something to consider about where we are best stewards of our finances. Climate-wise, very hot and humid in the summer, of course, frequent afternoon tea storms. In our summer, I think we have 1 or 2 weeks in August as it's really humid here in Illinois. But for the most part, our summer is not that humid. If you want to play pickleball in the winter time like we did, hands down.
There you go.
Hey, Bill, this one also, I took this data from March 5th of this year. Take a look at this, and full disclosure, I think I got this in realtor.com. May have been on Redfin. But anyhow, I'm going to trust that this is accurate data. So March 5th, take a look at this. Average home price, $325K now. Back in January 2019, $210. What does that tell you? To me, just quick calculation, it's almost 30% jump in 2 years. So I think in Illinois, it's about a 20% jump. And then for 1 year, year over year comparison between 2019 and 2020, it's about a 10% jump. But see here, just looking at this, just quick math, this is a 30% jump. And take a look at the days in the market, now 17 days. Okay, this is Charlotte County, okay? This is not even Sarasota County, it's not even Tampa, it's not even Naples. 17 days in the market. Year prior, it went down 15 days. So quick summary on the story here, Bill. Still a hot market. I can assess and conclude much higher, faster home equity gain versus Illinois, or even DuPage could be different. I mean, if you look at Amherst, probably a different story. West Springs, probably a different story. Glen Ellen, probably a different story. But county level, I see 30% jump here. Bill, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a sponsorship for DuPage Real Producers a few weeks back, and a few agents were talking, and one of the agents was actually from the Naples area, and she said a place that was selling at $1 million last year is actually $2 million this year, or 500. I mean, it's doubling in certain areas. So you get that average, it balances it out, So, and it's just it depends on what's like you just pointed out, the differences between living in the North and living in the South. What's your why? What's your desire of moving there or buying a place in that particular area? And I just think that you're nailing it with a lot of the key points to show the reason why people are actually moving there. And then you're seeing the demand where it's at. The demand is one thing, but then you have the circumstance that we're under last year too, with the pandemic, that has driven people in some of these other areas and maybe looking at to retire a little earlier, or maybe setting themselves up. Because the other thing that was happening last year was that second homes were actually the same rate as what you had on a primary residence. So people were just scooping up second homes because they were setting themselves up either in a location that they wanted to be at, just exactly what you mentioned with regards to the technology, working remote, or just making sure that they're buying cheap and buying in an area that they know they're going to want to live in when they're retired. So a lot of opportunity there, but that's what I've seen. The areas that you're notating here are just driving up in value. Whether that sticks, I think it's probably going to level off a little more with regards to rates going up. But I just think that right now we're seeing such a demand. Couple different reasons. One, we just closed a client last week in Florida with Susan, the agent that you're working with. She was going down there to retire, and her rent was at $1,759. Landlord comes up to her just recently and says, "We're going to increase it $500." So she was forced into the purchase. She didn't want to purchase, but she was forced into the purchase market. So we found her a $170,000 condo, and then her monthly payment out the door was $1,200. So we saved her $1,000 with that. So you're seeing a couple different things. One, the demand with the millennials, and then the other piece is the fact that rents are rising too. So there's just a huge demand. That's why you're seeing these values go up considerably. And I think I just recognized just this year the increase in rents that weren't there last year. They're just driving up considerably right now. So you're seeing a couple of different angles of demand that are happening because of that.
Yep, absolutely. Part of calculation of inflation.
Yeah,
Quick story on this. I didn't share this with Pete, economist, about our recent transaction. It's still pending, of course. Pete mentioned in our Tuesday morning huddle as he reviews all the statistics within Chicagoland counties. He made a statement towards the end. What we'll probably see are multi-generational occupation of homes, meaning mom and dad is there, son and wife is there, and then the kids are there. Exact same scenario for the purchase that we're doing for a client. We're on the buy side for a client in Yorkville. Exact same scenario. What Pete is saying, highly likely, this will be a little bit of the norm where the buyer really cannot afford the mortgage 100%, and mom and dad has to gift them, be part of the title and the mortgage, or be part of the title and the mortgage and live with them. We'll probably see more of this scenario and be more normal. Asian culture, for us, that's totally the norm. Out here in the Western culture, very different. We're probably moving towards a societal norm where multi-generations live in the same household.
Right. That makes sense. I could easily see that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Things are changing. So these are just, well, you probably know this already, but something to share later on. I can do a deep dive. I just did a deep dive on this with a potential investor from a networking acquaintance of mine. He's thinking of purchasing as well. In fact, I emailed you, CC'd you on his contact information. Hopefully, he'll invest in Southwest Florida as well, and he'll leverage your team as a lender. But just the type of construction is different out there. The one thing I will say in here is that the majority of properties in Florida are in the floodplain. So as anyone who's thinking about purchasing, always bake in your cost of flood insurance. And of course, Keller Williams ecosystem and reach and footprint, huge presence in Florida. Anyone who's thinking of buying, we're not licensed there yet, but I'm happy to refer buyers to a KW vetted agent. I interviewed these agents. I just had one agent in California asking for a Panama City agent. What I did my research, interviewed the Rainmaker, referred that team to the agent in California, which is part of our Facebook group in ARIA. So
that's great.
Tons to talk about, different nuances. You're not required to have an attorney. You're free to do so, but kind of like Indiana, they don't require an attorney. I would, coming towards the tail end here, I would just say that really identify your personal goals. Do you want equity gain? Do you want recurring cash flows? Do you want both? Are both important to you? Is one more important than the other? I'd be happy to sit down with anyone who's interested. Please DM me where how you can actually have both, and then figure out the deed restrictions. Even subdivisions, single detached homes, they have deed restrictions within those subdivisions. So prior to signing the purchase agreement, please make sure you as a buyer know all of those deed restrictions within the property. One example, are STRs allowed? If they're disallowed and you want income from it, that would not be a good purchase. And again, just like anything else, identify your nice to have, and then what are your must have. Bill, do you want a jet ski? Do you want 50-foot boat lift? Do you want just 10 minutes to the Gulf? Do you want someone to actually have to store your boat because you don't have a huge garage? So proximity to the boat yards and storage. These are different considerations that a person must have. So very similar to a typical purchase, of course. I just identify those personal goals. Hey, Bill, can we cover really quick? How can you service either a second home or investment property? How can you help a scenario like that?
Yeah, so our process is very very easy logistically. I mean, Bobby and I we connected, and then I connected with a couple other people where we take the application. You just simply fill out the online application, and then what we would do is set up a Zoom consultation. So I have a Calendly link, which I send out with the application. You just pick what time works for you, and I'll show up. So we'll be here on a virtual stream. That actually helps a lot because we can visually show you what type of product we can put you into. I think it's a matter of finding out what your needs are and what you're looking to do, what your intent is with the property. If you're looking to use it as an Airbnb, the key with the second home is you got to be in the property for 14 days, a little bit more than 14 days, to show that you've been living in that property. As an investment property, it doesn't matter. You're just buying it as investment property. And typically those are used as long-term rentals. So if your intent is to purchase it as a long-term rental, then we take it as an investment property. If your intent is to use it as, hey, listen, we're going to use it for our time as well as maybe share that time with some people and charge for that, that would be considered a second home. Recently, what we've seen is the feds have actually increased, and they call it a loan level pricing adjustment on second homes because they've seen more and more people do this. And it's a smart play if you think about it. I mean, you're buying it as something you want to retire in potentially, but gaining income because of the short-term rentals. A lot of people are using the Airbnbs as a way to use it as supplemental income, as well as also to make sure they can make both mortgage payments. It's very, very smart play. But when the Fed saw that, they put a loan level pricing adjustment on there to reflect that. So when they see any type of risk associated with a property, meaning that you're investing and not living in there, and there's somebody else that could deteriorate the value of the property based on how they abuse it, then they're going to put a pricing model together to reflect that. And that's what you're seeing recently, the change on the second homes and why their pricing is a little higher. So the pricing on a second home versus a investment property is pretty similar. It's not very much different at all. If you're going to use it as a primary residence, then yeah, that you could look at that as well too. It's just you want to be able to show that you can work remotely in that case. But like I said, the first starting point is to really take the application, get on the Zoom call with Bobby and I. We can set you up if you're going to be relocating. Like Bobby mentioned, he has resources to connect you. And I think that's the beauty, like he mentioned with the technology, is that we can actually sit down, get you ready to go as far as the numbers, and position you in a really strategic manner so you can leverage your scenario to try to win an offer down there in the Florida area. So I always use it this way. Like we're nationwide, so I can really do loans in all states, but certain states I'm licensed in. So I'm licensed in 9 states, but if I'm not licensed necessarily, I'll refer it to another loan officer that I work closely with. And I always use the analogy that you're getting 2 loan officers for the price of 1. So same would be with Bobby too, that if he and I get on a Zoom call, we set you up, put the numbers together. He's got the experience down there because he just went through it. And he also has connections. We can set you up. We can gift wrap it for the other agent. And then by the time you get down there, they can hit the ground running and show you houses and put you in the right area.
Yeah, to add really quick on that note, Bill, in talking with this particular investor, he's also looking at Scottsdale and Phoenix. And I believe you're licensed as well in Arizona. So irrespective of the people who are viewing this maybe after the fact, irrespective of where you want to purchase, please check with Bill, because he has, like he mentioned, his license as well in other states. Please check with him first. He's local. He's in St. Charles. Office is in Downers. They're all local here. If ever there's anything unclear and you have unease on even just jumping in, putting in your application, they're happy to meet you. And Bill, I'm speaking. Hopefully, this is accurate in speaking for your team, but I know your team is happy to meet one-on-one as well.
Sure.
Or they have a certain reservation on still on the virus. Then you're great with technology and meeting people via Zoom or whatever platform they want to meet on.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and I think, like you mentioned, it's just a matter of we take the education approach, and you're like this, I'm like this is the reason why we're talking. I think there's no pressure sales here. It's just to be a resource. I think in this particular day and age, you want to have the people that really have been seasoned in the marketplace. And that's where you and I would come in and really educate them on the transition. And I think if you start local, where you feel like, okay, I can meet with these people physically, or I can meet with them virtually, then we just paint a picture. And, and I always let the people know you're in the driver's seat. You're the one determining what speed you want to go, whether it be, I want to close like tomorrow, or I want to close in 3 to 6 months. We can set you up on a game plan and really get you to into a comfort mode of navigating through this wild market. If you're not going through it, like the one thing I would say though, is if you're not going to go through the application process and get in front of somebody and visually see the numbers, like whether it be a virtual or a physical meeting, you're setting yourself up for failure. I always use the analogy too, that it's like a doctor trying to prescribe medication to a patient you haven't seen when we're just talking over the phone. Like, yeah, I can tell you to go buy a house, but you're not going to win the offer. In this day and age, Bobby will tell you that if you go out there, you're going to set yourself up for failure, because there may be 30 other offers on that same place that you just had your heart set on. And that's just crushing. It's mind blowing, So what I would do is start here, work through getting a game plan together, looking at it visually, knowing the out the door costs, and then knowing the logistics. And that's one thing that Bobby and I do too, is we'll put together the logistics from A to Z, all the way from the time we close or time we talk on the phone, the initial conversation, to the closing.
Yep, absolutely. So hopefully this has been a help to people watching. We have one person left watching. At some point in time, there were 3 people watching. I will upload this video as well on our YouTube channel. I will put all of our contact information as well on that YouTube channel and on this Facebook comment section. Bill, always a pleasure to have you. Always a wealth of knowledge, tons of information, actionable data that people can move forward and hopefully move them forward in their financial goals as well. So I see second homes, investment property, as really a part of our retirement investment portfolio. And it's not a depreciating asset. It is an appreciating asset. And given as well how the market's performing with everything that's going on in the world, right now I'm really a lot bolder in preaching and evangelizing investment in real estate. So hopefully you feel the same way as well. Again, given that everything that's going on, given how the stock market's performing. So I think there's a big value to what we discussed today.
Yeah, Bobby, it's been a pleasure, and I've been living vicariously through you while you've been down in Florida, this sunny weather, and going through your experience and journey of purchasing your second home. I'm excited to see what this does for you. I can see the excitement in your own the way that you're walking through this as well too. So to me it's inspiring. So you sold me on Florida. I keep looking down there ever since you started looking. So maybe you can set me up.
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing, because this is what I feel as well. If you're looking at Jacksonville or even Gainesville, if you look at weather.com or even AccuWeather.com, it'll still be a big difference in temperature. So this is precisely the reason why I think a big driver in our consideration was around location, was in particular the weather and the temperature, especially in winter time. So
correct.
Anyway, Bill,
I noticed
Go
that
ahead.
too when I was down there in Fort Myers. It's a different weather completely.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you again.
All right.
My next streaming interview will be around funding your STRs. Please look out for that. I'll probably be streaming on, I'm not sure yet, on Facebook or on our YouTube channels. So please watch out for that. Bill, thank you again. You have a great day. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye bye now.
Bye.